No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Said, I remember when we used to sit in the government yard in Trench Town, observing the hypocrites as they would mingle with the good people we meet. Good friends we have, and good friends we've lost along the way. In this great future, you can't forget your past. So dry your tears, I say. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Here, little darling, don't shed no tears. No woman, no cry. Said, I remember when we used to sit in the government yard in Trench Town. And then Georgie would make the firelights as it was logwood burning through the night. Then we would cook cornmeal porridge, of which I'll share with you. Ooh, my
Good morning to you all, and thank you very much for joining us this morning. All those people who have managed to watch us live on Facebook, we thank you, and we believe that you will share today's program for us as well. As usual, the program is called Legal Matters Emremunsem. Today we'll be looking at immigration law update. We will also be looking at COVID-19 update. And today's topic is going to be about student visas. Student visas. Last week, I had a lot of inquiries from some of our listeners in relation to student visas. And especially, where people go wrong, the pitfalls. So we'll be looking at that as well. It's a very, very easy problem to solve. It's just that, when people do not know it, they are bound to make those mistakes. Also, we'll be looking at the powers of the immigration officers. It's very, very crucial. It's important that we understand what those powers are and what they can do and what they cannot do. And also, as an individual, what you can do and what you cannot do. In this country, one of the fundamental rights is the right to remain silent. Today, I will take my time and probably explain that principle a bit more, because what I have discovered or what I have realized is that when people are arrested or they are confronted by immigration, sometimes they panic and they begin to talk. Mr. Albert Obuo, thank you very much for joining me. I need to speak to you this afternoon if you have not already got a phone call from us. So that is how it is. So it's very, very, very important that, we understand these basic principles. If you have joined us, I will also encourage you to share the program, because by so sharing, you will also be educating your brethren and your sistren. And we all know that education is powerful, but the application of the knowledge is more powerful. Ignorance is something that is very, very expensive. I remember this week going through Facebook and I saw on someone's page, the cost of education is far more cheaper if you compare it to the cost of ignorance. What a beautiful phrase. What a beautiful saying. See, the cost of education in comparison to the cost of ignorance is cheap. So it's very, very important that we educate ourselves. I could see that someone say, what a tie. Yeah, this is from Accra Jumo. This is a Ghana style. So about time that we promote our own as well. So thank you very much for the compliment. It's a very nice tie, I must admit, and it bounced well over the white shirt. So thank you very much for the compliment. May the Lord Almighty God bless you all, and thank you for tuning in. Today, let's look at the areas that we're going to be talking about. You'll be looking at the refund of the immigration health surcharge. Refund of the immigration health surcharge. So we'll be looking at that and what you need to do in order to get the refund, and what are the eligibility. Does everyone qualify to get a refund? We'll be looking at that. And when you are applying for the refund, what are the policies? What are the implications? And what are the, if you like, ways in which the money is going to be paid back? I remember a client called me this week to say that, oh, I've just spoken to my friend and they have got all their refund back. And I said, that is not possible. Why is it not possible? I was able to explain. He had to then call the friend back. And in fact, the friend had not even applied. So sometimes when people are saying things, we have to be very careful how we say it. And we have to be truthful, because it's very, very important that we are truthful in everything that we do and everything that we say. Good morning to you, Haley. Wherever you are, good morning. And thank you for joining us as well. So if we are truthful, we are able to, if you are truthful, we are able to educate people the right way. Because if you are not truthful, we will use that lies or maybe ignorance, and then ignorance will promote ignorance, and it doesn't help. So let's try the best that we can, that when we are passing on information, we pass on the right information. We have to be truthful about it and be honest about it. We must not be economical with our truth, because it doesn't help. You might as well not tell the person anything rather than perhaps to tell lies to the person. Because mind you, the person is going to rely on that lie to do something, and everything is going to go wrong for that person. The question that I ask you, are you passing on the information to damage the person, or you are passing on the information to improve the person? So we should not just be talkatives, but we have to make sure that the information that we are passing on is the undiluted word, is the truth, so that the person can use that information to better himself or herself. It's very, very vital. So we'll be looking at immigration health surcharge, how to request for a refund. We'll also be looking at an increase, which is coming up from 27th of October. Initially, the increase, when it was announced, was to take effect on 1st of October. And then it went to 15th of October. And now we are told that it's going to go up on 27th of October. So we'll be looking at that as well. If you are European national and you are living here and you want to apply for British citizenship, there has been a slight change in the law as at 30th of September 2020. Unfortunately, the requirement is now a bit difficult. All this to do with comprehensive insurance and health insurance. So we'll be looking at that as well. If you're a European national or a family member of a European national, tune in, share the program so that they can also benefit from today's program. The reason being that when it comes to naturalization is a privilege. It's not of right. You can tick all the boxes. The Secretary of State can still refuse your application for naturalization on public order grounds, for public health grounds, for whatever legitimate reason. The government can do what? Can refuse your naturalization application. So for me, it is very, very important that before you embark in making naturalization applications, you do what? You do seek advice from competent, able and willing solicitors like justice and law solicitors for us to do you the right do you right by making the right application for you to succeed in your applications. So basically, we'll be looking at that, the difficulties, the obstacles that has been introduced recently by UK government policy in relation to nationality. We'll be looking at that as well. So we really need to pay attention to that. And also, one thing that people have to realize is that when it comes to naturalization, once your application is refused, the Home Office do not refund your money. Your money is gone forever. So we need to pay attention to that. Once your application is refused, you do not get your money back. The only money back that you get is the £80 that is used to cover the cost of the ceremony. That is the only money that you get back. So once again, it is important that we do understand that once your application is refused, you do not get your money back. And hence, before you set out to do the application, make sure that you qualify before you make the application. It's no good to go in there, get your application refused, and then you start chasing lawyer Darko. It makes no sense. You know, sometimes when people do that, and we find it very difficult to understand why people have to go out there, make the mistakes, mess the application up before they start chasing for lawyers. You know, it is always important from the outset, before you embark on anything, especially anything to do with law, from the beginning, you ought to seek advice so that you put your feet at the right places so that you don't mess up before you start chasing for lawyers. Make sure that you do what? That you seek advice, you get the advice before you actually start doing your applications. Because the one thing about this country is this: once you mess up, it's very, very, very difficult to come out of the situation. So do not mess up before you start chasing for lawyers, because we are lawyers and our job is this: once you mess up, if I have to charge you £50, I'm going to charge you £100 to clean up your mess and then build a case for you. So it is very, very important that before you embark on any mission in relation to immigration, then you seek advice first. Make sure that you do the right thing. Don't go and mess up, because when it comes to immigration, for example, one mess up can waste 10 years of your life and your time in the UK. How do this happen? I'm going to give an example. So for example, you are on a 10-year route to indefinite leave to remain, and along the line you forget to renew your visa on time, and as a result, what happens is that you become an overstayer by, for example, by overstaying, not intentionally, but it has happened. Once that happens and the time comes for you to apply for indefinite leave to remain on the basis of 10 years continuous residency in the UK, such applications could be refused on the basis that there has been a gap in your stay in the UK, or within the last 10 years you have breached the immigration laws. And therefore it is vital, it is important that you don't joke when it comes to immigration, because one small mistake is going to cost you a lot of money and it's going to waste a lot of your time. So if you're on a 10-year route, just be in your lane and just stay on your 10-year route. If you're on a 5-year route, just stay in your lane and be in the 5-year route. If you're using the services of a competent lawyers to do it, please do not think about the money too much, because sometimes shortcuts will lead to your early death. Shortcuts will lead to a longer period of time for you to complete before you get your indefinite. You know, so short time, all the time looking for shortcuts, it doesn't pay. You know, the rules are the rules, the regulations are the regulations, and even if you are thinking of looking for a shortcut, I think it's important that you go to competent lawyers such as justice and law solicitors to give you the right advice, the correct advice, so that you do the right thing by yourself and also by your family. So it is important that you don't get yourself in a mess before you start chasing for lawyers. Make sure at all times you seek advice from competent people. You know, everyone is a lawyer within our community. That one, I always say this, because People will use their own experience to try to influence you to do something that might not be necessary, be applicable in your case. Sometimes when people are telling stories, it's not sometimes, many a times when people are telling stories, they will tell stories from their own perspective, the way they see it. Sometimes you can have a very, very, similar case, but I always say this, no two cases are the same. You can never, ever have the same case. Because at the end of the day, you can have a similar case, but even their age, the age of the applicants may not be the same. The storyline, everything may be the same, but age sometimes can also change how decisions are made. So do not compare yourself to anyone, because all these fingers, they are all fingers, but they are never the same. So that is how it is. That is life. No two people are ever the same, because no matter what, we're going to have our similarities. We are also going to have our differences. So someone run to you and the person tell you that I did my case this way, I did my case that way, and I was very successful. It's very similar to your case, and so on and so forth. Please be mindful and be very careful. The reason being that the cases may be similar, but it can never be the same. Just as we have our fingers. They may be all fingers, but they are differences. So we need to watch out for that. We will also be looking at student applications. This is an application that I would say now it has become a bit not too difficult to apply, but a lot of people are getting rejected. A lot of people's applications are getting refused. Why so much refusals? We'll be looking at that, and especially when it comes to meeting the financial requirement. We'll be looking at that as well. And then we'll be looking at the powers of the immigration officers and the right to remain silent, which is your natural right, and also right enshrined in the law. And time permits, we'll be looking at latest in relation to COVID-19 support. If you are a worker, and hopefully, if there is more time, we'll also be looking at child expulsion from school. Within our communities, this is something that we tend to sweep it under the carpet. We don't discuss it, and we don't even tell people. We don't let people know what is going on within our household and what is happening to our children, because nobody wants to come out and say, my child is bad. And therefore, parents tend to cover their children in that way. I've had cases coming to me about children being expelled from school. And sometimes culturally, I always say this. Last week I said some stuff about our culture and sometimes how difficult it is for us to understand the European culture or maybe the English culture. For me, it's very, very important that wherever you live, you have to learn to adapt. You have to learn so that you fit in wherever you are. Because you cannot transport your culture from other country to this country and expect it to be accepted within the dominant culture. It does not work that way. So wherever you are, like the Bible says, if you go to Rome, do what the Romans do, and give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. As long as you live in the United Kingdom, you must learn to understand the culture, the language, and also the politics. You have to let the system work for you. No one is saying that throw away your culture. I'm not saying that. But as long as you continue to live in this country, whether you like it or not, you have to learn to fit in. You have to learn to make the country work for you. You have to learn to make the culture work for you. You have to learn to live within this country. And therefore, it is very, very vital that you also understand the dominant culture of this country. And then you have to learn to adapt the culture so that you can fit in, because we have a situation where our children, they go to school and they are getting expelled from school, not because of anything, but sometimes because of their culture, because they are unable to assimilate, or sometimes the way we are influencing them at home is stopping them from assimilate into the main culture. And this is causing difficulties and teasing at schools, leading to fights, and in some cases, leading to children being expelled from school. You know, it's important that we all learn these tricks. It's important that we bring this into the politics and into our debate, so that we can all learn from what has happened to people and also from their experiences, so that it will make us a better parents and better people, better individuals, and better in everything. It's important that we do that. Right. How do we start the program? Where do we start the program? I need to charge my what do you call it? I need to charge my laptop because the battery is running low. And whilst I'm charging it, I'm gonna basically play this tune, and then when we come back, we continue the program. So bear with me whilst I sort of turn the plug on. But like I say, I like this Bible quotation, so let's just read this Bible quotation before we start the program. And it's from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 1. And in fact, there's a song to that as well. And the song say, where the tree falls, there shall it lay until the judgment day takes its course. And this song is from Culture, and this is the Bible quotation. Let's take that. When we come back, we'll continue the program.
7 and also to 8, for thou knowest not what evil shall be upon the earth. If the clouds be full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if the tree fall toward the south or toward the north, in the place where the tree falleth, there it shall be. He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. As thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child, even so thou knowest not the works of God, who maketh all. In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thine hand, for thou knowest not whether shall prosper either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. Truly the light is sweet, and a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to behold the sun. But if a man live many years, and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that cometh is vanity. Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart, and in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things God will bring thee into judgment. Therefore remove sorrow from thy heart, and put away evil from thy flesh, for childhood and youth are vanity.
Where the tree falls, there shall it lie until judgment take its course.
Share the program for us.
Cat.
If you just tune in, this is the Legal Matters. Share the program for us.
Where the tree falls, there shall it lie until judgment take its course. Master God, where the tree falls, there shall it lie until judgment take its course. Yeah. Dark safe, you see the man stretch out your tail too long. Dirty nigga, we mash it. Aye. Every little thing you do, too progressive. Non-ambitious people crushing. They don't have no ambition at all. Where the tree falls, there shall it lie until judgment take its
Yes, some can phone home to do bako or see baby you na gu atono e hwa na mane na what enti yenko program ne so the NSCBA no, if you have been in this situation, then by all means, you need to move on. And where the tree falls, yes, that is culture. Joseph Hill. Where the tree falls, there shall it lay until the judgment day takes its course. Yes, when you are trying to do things to progress, non-ambition people will criticize. So be very careful who you speak to, especially when it comes to immigration and nationality law. Someone will intentionally give you bad advice. Someone will intentionally encourage you to do the wrong thing. And before you know it, you have messed up your papers. So you ought to be very, very careful where you get your advices from. Since I would say the implementation of the EU settlement scheme, there has been so many speculation that people are telling people that, you can do this application, you can do that application, you'll be granted leave to remain, you'll be granted indefinite, and so on and so forth. And a lot of people have gone and done wrong applications, so you ought to be very, very careful. You got to step up, speed up, and do the right thing by you and by your family. Now, let's go to the main program today. The first area that we will talk about is the immigration health surcharge. Some time ago, during the height of the COVID, there was a lot of announcement by the government and pressure to the point that the government decided that it's going to give refund to all those people who were working in the health sector in October. And it was announced by October, if you have paid an immigration health surcharge fees, then by all means, you can also submit an application for a refund. Yes, the refund has started. That if you work within the health sector and you have submitted an application between 31st of March up to now, then you should be able to make an application for a refund. However, people need to understand this. When it comes to the refund, it's just not a matter of simply doing the application and getting the refund. But you need to submit an application and they will ask you various sorts of questions. And also it's important that we understand what the criteria is and how the money is going to be paid back. It is very, very important because I have had someone challenging me, and basically I have to invite the person to come to the office so that we do it together, so that he can see exactly how it works. Because he was simply just told that, I've done my application and that I have been given the refund. Just like that, without explaining to the person how the refund was going to be paid back. So my client just assumed that as soon as you do the application, automatically you get a refund. Now, it's important that we also understand this. To do the application, you need to be able to show that your application, or you did your original application, or you made the payment over 6 months ago. So for example, you cannot pay the refund, you cannot do your application, say in August, and go today to request for refund. It doesn't work like that. So this is the questions that they will be asking once you are putting in the application for the refund. They will ask the date that you submitted your application or the date that you paid for the NHS fees. And the date must be entered at least 6 months before you are putting in the application for the refund. So in short, what it means is that you might have, or you must have paid the NHS fees at least 6 months before you can request for refund. So for example, if I'm making an application for refund today, I need to go back 6 months. Today is 10/10/2020. People should be aware of this. Today's date is 10/10/2020. 10/10/2020. 10th of October 2020 in the year of our Lord. So that is how it is. 10/10/2020. So if I'm putting in an application for a refund, I need to go back 6 months. So since today is the 10/10/2020, I need to go back 6 months. So this will take me back to April. So in effect, my application or the money should have been paid by 9th of April or before 9th of April before I can make the application for refund. So it's not a matter of just putting in and getting the money back. No, you need to put in the application. You should have paid the IHS fees more than 6 months ago before you can apply for the refund. Not only that, you must be working within the NHS or the healthcare sector. Healthcare sector within that period. So if you are not working for the healthcare sector within that period, don't even try it, because your application may be rejected, or you could be done for fraud. So one have to be very, very careful. You must have evidence that you are working within the healthcare sector or for the NHS. Once you have submitted your application, okay, the money, this is the funny bit. The money is not going to be paid in one block. The money is simply not going to be paid just like that. The money is going to be paid on installment basis. Every 6 months, you're going to get £200, £200, £200. So this is something that you ought to also be aware of. So the money will be paid back, but it's not going to be paid in one go. Someone was asking me, how come that you pay the money in one go, but it's not going to be refunded in one go? And I said to the person that when you were even paying the money, you were not expecting any money back. So now that the government has changed its policy to say that it's going to give the money back to you, you ought to count yourself very lucky. So that is how it is. So all those people who have made an application for further leave to remain, which has attracted immigration health surcharge fees, which is the NHS fees, then of course you can ask for your money back. But in order to ask for your money back, the eligibility questions that they will ask are as follows. Have you worked in the health and social care sector? If you have to take yes. 2, have you worked in the health and social care job for 6 months or more? If the answer is yes, you say yes. Have you worked on average of 16 hours or more per week? If the answer is yes, then you don't have a problem. So that means, and the question is, do you continue to work within the healthcare sector? If you say yes, then no problem. However, if you are working less than 16 hours, you're going to have a problem. If you don't work within the health and social care sector, you're going to have a problem. Are you still working within the sector? If the answer is no, you're probably going to have a problem. So you need to look at the eligibility. You need to make sure that all this stuff, yes applies before you go and apply for it. And even if you are successful, the money will be paid in batches, in tranches. It's not going to be straightforward, just like that. The second thing that I would like to talk about is also immigration health surcharge. Immigration health surcharge. Immigration health surcharge, as we know, we said it here some time ago, that the immigration health surcharge is going to be increasing. It's going to be increasing. And when is it going to be increasing? It was going to be increased from 1st of October. But there was a delay in the system, and therefore they decided that it was going to start from 15th of October. And now it has been announced that it is going to be implemented from 27th of October. So that means anyone who is eligible to submit their applications, I will encourage you to submit your applications between now and 26th of October in order to dodge the fee increase. How is the increase going to go? From 27th of October 2020, the immigration health surcharge is going to increase from £400 a year to £624 a year from 27th of October. This means all those people who have a visa, all those people who wants to apply for a visa, if at all possible, try and make your application from now up to 26 in order to avoid paying the increase in the IHS fees. Because £400 increase, I believe, is steep. It's a lot of money per year. So that means if you are going to get a 250 visa, BAS 250, that's 2.5 years visa, you are going to pay £1,000 extra for your applications, because every year is going to be increased by £400. And therefore, in effect, this is what's going to happen. If 1 year is going to be increased by £400, 2 years £800, and then the 0.5, which is the half a year, is going to be £200. So in effect, this is, unbelievable. So we need to be aware of this. Instead of paying £400, now you're going to pay £624 per year. And therefore, the 2.5 years, you are going to pay how much? 624 times 2. That's going to give you about 1,248 plus half the year. So the immigration health surcharge, roughly speaking, you are going to pay about £1,640 thereabout for 2.5 years visa, for 250 bus pass visa, freedom pass visa. So if you need to make an application, this is the time to do the application. The time to do the application is now in order to avoid this increase. So if you need to run, you need to run fast. And if you need to run, you need to run now. And where do you want to run to? You run to justice and law solicitors so that we can do you justice. If you intend to make an application for your children, your spouse at the entry clearance post, you also need to speed up, because this increase cut across. It's not going to be only within, it's also going to be for those outside. So you and I need to tell people, and if at all possible, so that we can also avoid this increase, so that you and I will shed no tears. Let's do the best that we can and promote this news so that people can avoid this increase. The increase, why, I do not know. I don't make the law. Politicians make the law. Sometimes people come to me and say, lawyers, what are you doing about this? This increase, I'm a lawyer. I have to follow the law just like you. There is absolutely nothing that I can do about it. The only thing that I can do is to follow the law just like any other person, just like everyone else. But all that I can say to you, what brings about change, the only way change can occur is when people get their MPs involved. When people also go to their MPs and tell them about the difficulties that they are having. Because if you come to Lawyer Darko and you tell me about the difficulties that you are having, not much that I will be able to do. But all that I can say to you is this. You write to your MPs, you go to your MPs, and you raise it with your MPs so that something can be done. Because you come to Lawyer Darko and you make this complaint to, unfortunately, not much that I will be able to do. So advice that I can give and what I've been telling people is this. If one person complains, it's nothing. If two people complain, it's nothing. But if it's something that anyone that has got concern is raising with their MPs, they make the law. I don't make the law. They get paid to make the law. And therefore, if you don't say anything to your MP, I don't say anything to my MP, that means we are happy for the increase. And therefore, nothing will get done. And then, not much that anyone can do. So all that I say is this. We all have to do the bit that we can. Many times the sad thing is, people will say that, well, it got nothing to do with me. I don't care. I'm holding my British passport. So why should I care about immigration health surcharge? Yes, it might not bother you today. You might not care today. But maybe tomorrow, you might be wanting to bring your husband. You might be wanting to bring your child. You might want me to bring in your wife. And then you're just going to be hit with the immigration health surcharge. And therefore, one way or the other, we are all going to pay the price. And sometimes it always baffles me when I have people who may never have had experience of immigration. They have never had immigration problems, and they come to you, and when they see the intricacies, the politics, and everything that goes on in immigration, they get surprised. Because, for example, if you are born in this country, you don't have any issue of immigration, you don't have any dealings with immigration, and all of a sudden you find yourself in love with maybe someone who is immigrant or someone who doesn't come from this country, and you are having to cover that person, and you have to go through the process of immigration, and you need to discover that there is something called immigration health surcharge fees that your partner or your spouse have to pay. Sometimes their faces are like surprise. How? The NHS is supposed to be free. Why do you have to pay IHS fees? That is the law. So we need to bring out to the fold. People need to be aware of what is happening, what is going on, so that people can also empathize, sympathize, and do something and follow your cause. But if no one is complaining about it, if no one is saying nothing, then that means we are happy for the increase, and it can only go up and up and up and up. Because as it started, there was nothing called immigration health surcharge fees. And all of a sudden, it got introduced, £500. And then within a year or two, it got doubled to what? To £1,000. And now, there has been another 50% or 60% increase. 2 years' time, you mark it on the wall, there's going to be another increase. I can see £2,000 for 2.5 years visa coming in the horizon. But the reality is this. You are not talking, I am not talking. Many a times people say that you are lawyers, what are you doing about it? When it comes to democracy, it's got nothing to do with being a lawyer. Everyone have to participate. One man, one vote. Everyone carries the vote. You can be the cleaner, you can be the doctor. When it comes to elections, your votes count for the same. So when anything that matters, that bothers everyone, then our saying or our rate or our vote is also the same vote, and therefore we all need to talk and maybe do something about it. That is the only way that we can bring about change. Someone has just typed in, how do I get in touch with my MP? All that you need to do is this. Go to your internet as usual and put in, they work for us. Just put in that, they work for us. As soon as you click the button, it's going to come up and say that, what is your postcode? You put in your postcode, your MP's details will come up. And if the increase, you have concern about it, raise it with your MP. If you are raising it, I am raising it. He is raising it, she is raising it. And everyone is raising it. It will become a debate. It will become a national issue. And therefore, that is how policies are formulated. That is how things get done. But if you are not complaining, you are not saying anything, and you're expecting me, Lawyer Dakum alone, to say something, do you think it's going to do anything? It's going to do nothing, because I am only one drop in the mighty ocean. And therefore, if you all have concerns about this increase, then that is one of the ways in which we can bring it to the fore so that it can get discussed and something can then be done about it. If you don't do nothing, I don't do nothing, the increase will simply going to go up. And sometimes people say that, well, it's got nothing to do with me. Believe in me, anything that is general policy and social policy is got everything to do with everybody, because you are not paying it today, but you're gonna pay it tomorrow. That is the politics. That is how it is. So that is how it is. We got to be aware of it and see what can be done. Now, the next bit that I will talk about is going to be European nationals and citizenship. European nationals and citizenship. If you have just tuned in, I ask that you share the program for us. Please do share the program, because what is coming today, I believe, is going to be very, very beneficial to a lot of people. And all those people who have tuned in, we also thank you. And Joyce, thank you also for bringing this to my attention. It's very good. I nearly forgot to mention that as well. Home Office policy is that if your visa is about to expire, you need to submit your application within 28 days before your visa expires, which is true, which is accurate, and which is correct. So if your visa is about to expire between now, or I will say between 26th of October and 26th of November, you are entitled to submit your application within that time, to make sure that you don't pay the increase in the NHS fees by 27th. So personally, you can even try it. If your visa is going to expire within the next 2 months, hey, the worst case scenario is the Home Office will come back to you to say that you need to pay the extra money. If you are lucky, you'll be able to get away with it. So for me, I have advised people in private that if your visa has got about 2 months to expire, come and see me quickly, and then we can put in the application. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because now, even to get an appointment within a month of submitting your application, it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task. And Home Office will only look at the application in most of the cases once you have done your fingerprint. So by all means, you need to try your luck sometimes. So what I say is this: if your visa has got about 2 months to expire, why not give it a try now? Put the application in before the fee increase goes up, and try your luck. That's what I can say to you. In a worst case scenario, Home Office will come back to say that you need to pay the difference. If you have to pay it, so be it. But by doing that, you could be saving yourself over how much? Over £640, which is a lot of money, taking into consideration the economic situation that we find ourselves in. So by all means, I've had people calling me, and basically I've arranged appointment. That is what I'm going to be doing for them as well, to dodge the increase that is coming up, because nobody would like to be paying such money. So by all means, give us a call, Justice and Law Solicitors. The number is 07538 969 589. Our landline is 0207 993 5976. Monday to Friday between the hours of 9:30 to 5:30. Give us a call anytime, any day, and we will welcome you, because we are willing and we are able. Justice and Law Solicitors, the solution to your legal problems. So now, let's look at European nationals who wants to become British citizens, and the new changes that has come up in relation to comprehensive sickness insurance. On 30th of September 2020, the Home Office updated the good character policy for naturalization, and this makes it even harder for EU nationals to become British citizens. The new policy, unfortunately, doubles the period of time from 5 years to 10 years, during which certain EU citizens in the UK must have held comprehensive sickness insurance or European health insurance card which has been issued by European country in order to qualify for British citizenship. So basically, this will affect those people who were here as students. As we know, if you're a student, it comes with qualifications. It comes with conditions. That if you're a student, you will not be treated as exercising treaty right without having comprehensive sickness insurance or having European health insurance card issued by European country. And so therefore, by implication, if you are a student and you don't have European health insurance, then you will not be treated as living in the UK legally, and therefore you will not qualify under the character test, under the new Home Office policy that came up on 30th of September. And therefore, instead of the 5 years, now it's 10 years. You need to demonstrate that you are living in the UK lawfully, legally, for a continual period of 10 years, as opposed to 5 years. So those people who are living here as students, self-sufficient people, they are going to be hit with this new policy. It's very sad, but that is the sad truth and that is the sad reality. Now, naturalization applications, when you are submitting the applications, it costs you, if you do an online application, it's 1,349.20. That is how much the Home Office will charge you. But strange enough, those who are very good at maths, you're going to work this out for us. Strange enough, if you do the paper application, the fee is 1,330. So what does that tell us? It tells us that if you do the online application, indirectly, there is a bit of an addition of £19.20, which will be the fee that you will pay if you do paper application and you go to the post office to do your fingerprint. You see, so when you do paper application, it's 1,330. We accept that. When you go to the post office to do your fingerprint, you pay £19.20. So those mathematicians watching us, listening to us, add this one for us. 1,330 for paying the Home Office fees, and then going to the Home Office to do the fingerprint for £19.20. Add it up. 1,330 plus £19.20. If you add that up, what do you get? I bet you that you get 1,349.20. But when you do online application, automatically the fee is 1,349.20. That creates an impression that there is no fingerprint fee to be paid. But if you really observe it very carefully, it has been sneaking, arguably. So that is how it is. So that is the price. And then the £80 goes to the performance of the citizenship. So this is what we ought to be aware of. So if you're European national, now instead of 5 years, it's 10 years clean record. So if at any point within the 10 years you have overstayed your visa, then of course your application is going to be refused if you have breached the immigration rules, or if within the 10 years you became a student and you did not have comprehensive sickness insurance or European health insurance, then of course that would have been a breach, and therefore in that respect, application that you make is subjected to refusal. So that is what we need to be aware of. Now, let's go to student application. That is the main topic for today. Student application. If you have just tuned in, we will encourage you to share the program for us Our target is to get at least about 150 shares by the time we finish this program. And I believe I can count on you to share the program for us. As I'm talking, I'm also sharing the program as we speak. People are also sending me questions that unfortunately I cannot answer those questions as I am talking and doing the program. So bear with us. Once we finish the program, at the right time, I will deal with those questions that people are bombarding me. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult. I'm operating machine. I am looking at my notes. I'm also looking at you, and I'm also talking, and it's making it a bit very, very difficult to also read questions that people are sending. So bear with me. I will endeavor. I will do the best that I can to share to answer those questions, but I cannot promise that it's going to be today because I've got a lot of workload. I've got a lot to catch up. So after the program, I need to get back to work and catch up with my workload. So bear with me. But by tomorrow morning, whilst I'm laying in my bed and chilling and relaxing, I'll be able to deal with the inquiries that people are sending. So bear with me whilst I try to do that as well. So now let's look at student visa, student visas. Yes, student visas. Let's look at student visa applications and the process that one have to go through in order to get a student visa. I have had a lot of phone calls. People are asking as to whether they can make student visa applications to come to the UK and study. And if so, what are the requirements? What is it that they need to show? What is it that they need to prove in order to be able to make a successful application? Yes, the law makes it possible for such applications to be made. However, before you make such applications, you also need to make sure that you are able to meet all the requirements and satisfy all the requirements. So it's for this reason that today I have decided to talk about this today. Hopefully it will be beneficial to some of us who wants to sponsor their family members, their children to come to the UK and study. So by all means, we will do that for you today. The starting point for students' applications is that the applicant, which is your child or your family member, they have to make an application to the school that they want to attend and the course that they want to do. To get an admission, you need to get an admission to an institution to study. We have child students and we have adult students. But for the purposes of this program, I will put the child student to one side and concentrate on adult students, because majority of the questions and the inquiries that we get relates to adult students. So, you coming here to study at the university, you need to first approach the university Tell them about your interest in the course of study and apply to that institution. Once you contact the school, they will tell you about their entry requirements and what you need to do in order to get the admission. That particular bit is not the lawyer's job. A lawyer cannot do anything for you at that stage because lawyers do not prepare student applications. So that bit is the bit that as a potential student, you should be doing. The course of study is something that you should know what course that you want to study and why you are choosing that course. So you apply to the school will tell you their requirement, their criteria, and whatever needs to be done. Most schools will ask that you pay their school fees or at least big proportion of the school fees before they give you the acceptance or before they give you the admission. Once you get the admission, the school will then give you something called Confirmation of Acceptance of Studies. We call it the CAS certificate, which is the Confirmation of Acceptance of Studies. Once the school issue you with the CAS certificate, you will then, of course, have to get a passport. And also, these days, you have to have an English certificate. You need to show your proficiency in the speaking of English. So you need to be able to demonstrate that you can speak English. So once you are able to satisfy these two requirements, then of course, you will also need to do your tuberculosis in your home country. You need to take passport photographs and your English proficiency test certificate. And in some countries, you need to also go for TB testing and get TB certificate. And of course, you need to also to be able to satisfy the financial evidence requirement test. This is where the problem is. This financial evidence requirement test is where majority of people fall short. People struggle to give enough evidence to convince the Home Office that they are able to satisfy this test. The financial requirement test or the financial evidence test can be proven in 3 different ways. It is very, very important that we understand this. Last week, I had a phone call and I was asked this question. Someone has done an application. The application has been refused because the Home Office stating that the sponsor was not the applicant's parents. You know, this is a technicality. This is a technicality because not everyone has got a mom or a dad. So this is where people need to pay attention to, because the law sometimes is very strange and it's very funny. But you got to be able to think, you know, along what the law is telling you, what the boxes are. How do you tick those boxes? If you don't have a mother, you don't have a father who is sponsoring your education. Maybe you have your uncle, maybe you have your nana, maybe you have other family members who are doing that, sponsoring your application. How do you make sure that you fall within the 3 main types of ways of showing funding or financial financial evidence in respect to your education? The first one will be self-funded students. Self-funded students. This means you are funding your own education. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, because some people will work and save towards their education and they may decide to come to the UK to study. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you can prove that you meet the financial requirements if it is self-funding by submitting evidence of your personal bank accounts held in your name or your parents/guardians this is the key. If it is not your mother, it's not your father who is sponsoring your education, then the person must be your guardian. The person must be your what? Your guardian. The money must be in their names or in a joint account which bears your name. You can use a combination of accounts to show that you meet the financial requirements. However, you cannot submit evidence of bank accounts which are in the name of another relative or friend or in the name of a business. If you are a self-funding student, majority of applications for students' applications get refused because of this particular point: funding, evidence of funding of your education. The money cannot be in any other relative's account or a friend's account. The money must be in your own account, your parents' account, or joint accounts, or your guardian's account. But the money must not be from a relative or a friend. So if you are submitting an application and you say this is a relative, automatically the application is getting refused. If you are submitting application and you say the money belongs to your friend, automatically you are looking at refusal. So we ought to be aware of this. If the money is in a joint account, so if the money is sitting in a joint account and the joint account also bears my name, it matters not as to who the account is held in, whose name it is in, as long as it is in joint accounts, then I satisfy the rules. The money cannot be in relative's account or a friend's account. However, if the money is in joint account, you are okay. If the money is in a parent's account, you are okay. If the money is in your guardian account, then you are okay. The question that someone may ask, how do we know that someone is your guardian? In this country, everything is down to evidence, and therefore someone who has been given guardianship by the court. So, if it's your parents, you need your birth certificate to show evidence of your relationship with your parents. If the person is your guardian, you need evidence of guardianship with your guardian. And then you use their bank statement to be able to demonstrate the funding of your education when it's self-funded students. So that is your answer. So now the application has been refused. The question therefore is, what do you do? You can always go back to the drawing board. Do you have a parents who have got monies in their account that you should be able to use the monies to meet the financial requirement or the evidence of funding? How much do you need to show? I will come to that. So the key is to make sure that the money is coming from the right account, or the evidence that you are using is coming from the right account. And the right account is from your mother, your father, or both, your guardian, or joint accounts, where you are able to demonstrate. We carry on and we make sure that we are able to meet this self-funded requirement. However, the account must be in cash. You cannot use stocks, bonds, shares, pension accounts, property, trust funds, credit cards. This cannot be used. This will not be acceptable. But it must be in cash, which is readily available to your use. The second area that you can, the second area that you can also use to meet the funding is official financial sponsorship. whereby maybe your government is sponsoring you, and in that case, they will write a letter from the Ministry of whatever, Ministry of Education, in order for you to be able to meet the funding requirement. Or maybe an educational loans, you know, you are taking a loan to do that, student loan or bank loan, whatever, to meet the funding requirement. You can also use that. The money that you need to show that you are able to meet the funding are as follows. The requirement is that you need to pay your full tuition fees for the first year of your program, plus £1,015 per month of the students for living cost up to a maximum of 9 months. If you are coming to study for more than 9 months, you will need to show your full tuition fees for the first year plus £9,135 for living cost. So the full amount must be held in your accounts. So this order I can say, it costs a lot of money to study. It costs a lot of money to be able to get your certificates and your degrees. And therefore, if you need to pay for the services of a lawyer, such as Lawyer Darko, do not complain. Just come in, pay the money for us to do a good job for you. It's very, very important. So when it comes to the student, that is what I can say for student. I think it's time that we take a quick commercial break from our sponsors. And then when we come back, we will go to Paris of Immigration Officers. And also we'll look at the job retention scheme and update. Every day there is an update, and we will do the best that we can every week to bring you the update. So let's go to Paradise City. Let's take this quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll continue.
Paradise City. Yeah, did this beautiful ultra-modern city, Apatema, Community 25, Whooper Standard, Executive, Semi-Executive Quality Buildings, Yeni Paradise City, Yewa Homa, Esasa Yedia Brochure Abagana, Ye payment terms no so, and a phone book open a self-finance, and as a monkey, Paradise City, away your telephone number, so UK, +447 908 475 802. Paradise City. Ye juma pa magana yefe ankasa. Medafo, Uyamaka, wow, die papa be our Ghana, and so a num no cry asantino. Who send ya who bet manisika, say yes, what you mount. It's in a Yeni Paradise City. Yeah, did this beautiful ultra-modern city, Apatema, Community 25, Whooper Standard, Executive, Semi-Executive Quality Buildings, Yeni Paradise City, Yewa Homa, Esasa Yedia Brochure Abagana, Ye payment terms no so, and a phone book open a self-finance, and as a monkey, Paradise City, away your telephone number, so UK, +447 908 475 802. Paradise City. Ye juma pa magana yefe ankasa.
Party na last over farm ko ya ba yo de ko shi anza ba yan se nya ni grata ma no eh na get it you na wish abia ma party asi ya so nya grata ma oja am so bi bopuni eh wa ya me de me no ya we din eh wasa bo bi mo e be fi kese fu ko te to ko ni e ja wo eh ko unye eh Ya unia na ebofu me yakoma etu.
Na na majina prancha bom na dada na mbezim bebi.
What you yakoma nsu nyina AFD ho. Because if you get for.
Na ada moti ha mo ho ntwa na moda so tefi hai.
Na wo ni me meka nchiro. E na unia so okoye ngata ma obi o. Me de nso okoye okay kura.
Yo mesremo pi ewi ase de obi e no ho chief asem pakodo enemre mu nso de obi e no ho betena ho amata abada ho so owon kame enu ti mesrew se bank krata asem kwan de a na se woni krata wo krom ha na wohia krata mesrew adwuma ba ko pe e na make am for amount eno ane justice and law solicitors lawyer ye fe no obenda ku David ho e na owo ne pa immigration sem landlords and tenants family legal documents civil litigation wills and employment issues ningina papa odi hu djuma e wo ho na mesrem maba betu mu ne American tram momfa mo maboso mu tom
na wo kan papa yo timi akonto kwa nyina ma ye se dia obi agi osika ro ho beso obetia ne so e wotimi ye ho adwum
ningina lawyer obenda akudi ningina hu djuma na ne ai mani ka awo no ho ne se wo ye ntokotwan se ba mra mu dia so waje wasebe so onwie ya papa yi onyini sa infrasie
pacho hefa no asena so wo no
yo me pacho obehunu justice and law for Ewo Unit 35 Eurolink Business Center 49 Efra Road Preston SW2 1BZ. Now the telephone number is 02077385841 and I say the mobile number 07538969589 Miss Row and then they said the migration for senior blue groom had share and one travel armor and for now quiet. It's a free no crowd found cat as equidine justice and law solicitors.
Hey, Ojam, also such a morning when you are on idea see a woman and the other coffee.
And yes, she penisi finance up of a bad yinchi. And I'm saying lawyer bend a quarter on horses or what young Ghana 43 wunty. Membre de be a free and upper dubako, equable, a ria donko, lawyer etna, a fidia, a fire life radio, so etc. Membrem ewo, into a free member da a penny member da cabiana for fidia to fire life radio, not see a lawyer and a emremun sem ewo. Tifina radio, justice and law solicitors, the bar near the
Thank you very much. We are back now. What are we going to look at? We are going to look at the powers of immigration officers. A lot is happening. A lot is going on. And over the past 2 weeks, it's been very, very challenging. A lot is happening. A lot is happening. So I think it's also important that we educate ourselves. You know, sometimes out of ignorance, it makes people say things or do things that they don't understand. Its implications. You know, by the time the girl is involved, too much damage is done. And I think it's important that we cover this as human beings, as individuals, powers that we have over what we do, over what we say, over how we act in any given situation. We are responsible for what we do. We are responsible for what we say. So it makes no sense for us to make excuses after we've done sometimes or we've said some of the dumbest things, you know. So we ought to be very, very careful, and we also have to understand how the system works. So today I need to cover some of these areas as well. Right now, immigration officers, their job is to ensure that anyone that is coming into the country or someone living in the country has got the right documentations or the papers to stay in this country. And if the individual hasn't got the papers to stay in this country, it is their job to make sure that the person is removed or deported from this country. Even if the individual is entering the UK and the individual doesn't have the right papers, or it is suspected that the individual used force to get the information, i.e. use misrepresentation to get the visas, it is their job to stop the individual from coming in. And where the individual has managed to come in at the airport, they have every right to detain the individual pending further investigation to ensure that the individual acquired the passport genuinely by not using false information and so on and so forth. So we cannot stop the immigration from doing their job, but as a lawyer, it is our job to make sure that they are doing their job properly. And how do we make sure that they are doing their job properly? We can only make sure that they are doing their job properly by us advising you. And therefore, I'm here today to advise you so that you can also advise your brothers, your sisters, maybe relatives who are coming. You can then also advise them so that if they are confronted or they find themselves in such situations, then of course, with equipped with the knowledge, they'll be able to handle it and deal with it. That is the reason I'm sitting here today. That's the reason why we are treating this topic today. So let's try and cover it so that at least we can pass on the knowledge, the information. It is very, very, very important that we do what? That we do cover this. Now, we know the Home Office have powers, the immigration have powers to regulate who comes in and who goes out. Having a visa does not guarantee your entry to the UK, but it's part of the process. It guarantees that you have the permission to enter the UK. But that guarantee or that permission is subjected to conditions. And some of the conditions is that if there has been a change in your circumstances, it could affect the validity of your visa. So we need to be aware of this. So you are coming in, you are stopped at the airport. Immigration are asking you questions. And I will say to you is this. What I'll say to you is this. If you're not comfortable in speaking in English, it's important that you demand that they get interpreter. Sometimes we think we can speak English and therefore we find ourselves in a very tight situation. So all I will say is this. If you're not comfortable in speaking English, if you have concern that the accents, you might not understand it, demand for them to get you an interpreter. If you are not comfortable in speaking, demand to speak to a lawyer before you agree to an interview. It's very, very important. Because sometimes, some people may not have traveled before. They get to the airport, they are overwhelmed with the travel experience. And sometimes they open their mouth and they just start talking, not knowing what they are saying. Sometimes I've come across cases where people are making claims that they are being coerced to make statements. They've been pressurized to make statements. They have been asked leading questions for them to go with the flow, and therefore they have said things that are not true. And then the stuff that they have said are now being used against them. You see, one thing that I say to you is this. Someone will not detain you and the person tell you that I'm your friend. The person is detaining you because the person suspects that you have done something wrong. And therefore the person cannot be your friend. If the person does not believe you or trust you or suspect you of wrongdoing, how can such a person be your friend? So you ought to be aware of this. Someone cannot come to you and tell, I'm your friend. Tell me my version of the truth so that I will let you go. Tell me my version of the truth so that everything will be fine. And therefore you will forgo your version of the truth and you'll be singing their truth. I always say this. There is 3 types of truth. Your truth, my truth, and the real truth. The real truth is always in the middle. and everyone is pulling the real truth to their side so that their truth become the enforceable truth or the dominant truth. So we need to wake up to this. So all that I would say is this: they have the powers to stop you. You have the power to remain silent. You don't have to agree to any interview, because if you don't know what you are saying, if you don't understand what you are being asked, you could end up saying the wrong stuff. By the time you get lawyers involved, the damage is so much so that it becomes almost impossible for a lawyer to be able to get you out of a situation. So all that I say to you is this: at the entry clearance, if you are not sure, if you don't understand what is going on, you have the right to remain silent, and therefore you've got to be aware of this. Being silent sometimes is the best policy, especially if you are not in a good frame of mind, if you are very confused, if you are very, very tired and you don't know what is happening. Sometimes the best policy is to be what? To be quiet, seek advice before you start opening your mouth to talk. It's very, very important. That's what I would say in relation to the powers of immigration officers. They have the power to stop you. They have the power to search you. They have the power to enter your premises if they believe you are in there for the purposes of immigration enforcement. And therefore, for me, if the power that you have is the power to remain silent, the right to remain silent according to the Pays Code, and therefore, even if the police arrest you, if the police come to you and you are overwhelmed, you don't know what is going on, you are confused, the best thing is be quiet. Seek advice before you start talking. It's very, very important. As you know, in this country, there was a program called The Bill. They have stopped some time ago. And I was so fascinated to see a lot of people, when they are arrested by the police and they are being interviewed, you will see them, no comment. What is your name? No comment. Everything until they get legal advice. So sometimes it's the best policy, because if you don't know what you've been charged with, if you don't know what the allegations against you is, how do you talk? So one have to be very, very, very careful. And this applies to family members who are coming in. This applies to you as well. When you travel and you are coming in, especially when you are not in a good frame of mind, especially when you are very, very tired, then it's very, very important that you do what is perhaps in some cases, or in most cases, it's important that you do what? You plead no right, the right to remain silent, and therefore seek advices first before you open your mouth, before you talk. If not, you're going to find yourself in a mess. That's all that I can say in that respect. Now, let's move on to COVID-19 support. This is something that I have just received from the HMRC, their weekly update and the advice that they've been sending to me on a weekly basis. Basically, as we all know, the government has announced Job Support Scheme, JSS, any junior secondary school, Job Support Scheme. And this is to protect jobs where businesses remain open but are facing lower demand over the winter months due to COVID-19. Under the Job Support Scheme, the government will contribute towards the wages of employees if they are working fewer than normal hours due to decreased demand. The employers have been advised to continue to pay the wages for the hours that their staff members will work. Employees must work at least 33% of their usual hours. For the hours not worked, the employer and the government will pay a third each of their usual wages, and the government is capped to pay 697.92 per month. What does all this mean? It means that the government is introducing a new scheme called Job Support Scheme. The Job Support Scheme shows that at least the job that you are doing, if there isn't enough job for you to do, then the employer must ensure that you do at least 33% of the hours that you work. So for example, if you do 33 hours a week, or maybe you do full time, it's about 38 hours, divided by 3. At least you should do at least about 13 hours. You should do about 13 hours, because 13 will give you 39. That is 1/3. So the government says that at least you must be working at least 1/3 of your hours per week. The government will then pay 1/3 of your wages, and the employer will also pay 1/3 of your wages, so that at least you are able to stay in employment. Because as an employer, if there's no money coming in, there's the temptation of getting rid of you. And when there is a job to do what? I will then re-employ. But the government doesn't want people to lose their jobs. So all that they say is that the government will make a contribution of 33% of your wages, and the employer will also do what? Make 33% of your wages. So that will be left with about 33%. So that is the reason why they are doing reduced hours. Because if you do 33 for me, I'll pay you the 33 as an employer. The government will pay the 33, and you are working only 33. So in effect, it's a way to keep you in employment, so that it will reduce the number of people who will also lose their jobs. Also, job retention bonus. The government has also telling employers that they will be able to claim a one-off payment of £1,000 for every eligible employee that they fellowed and claimed for through the coronavirus job retention scheme, and kept continuously employed until at least 31st of January 2021. So this is something that the government is basically telling employers to keep employees. If they're able to keep them up till 31st of January 2021, they will give them £1,000 to keep them. They will also be able to claim bonus from 15th of February 2021 until 31st of March, once they have submitted their PAYE information for the period up to 5th of February 2021. So this is a bribe. Some say it's a bribe that the government is using to ensure that people are kept in employment. Corona Job Retention Scheme changes from 1st of October. From 1st of October 2020, the HMRC will pay 60% of usual wages up to $1,875 per month for hours fellowed employees do not work. So it has been reduced to 60%. But the caps are proportionate to the hours not worked. So this is something that people also have to bear in mind. Also, those in self-employment, they also have to be aware that the fellow scheme, the second wave is coming to an end, I think on the 19th of October. So if you have not yet claimed, then of course you have to make the effort and claim. If not, the time will just disappear and you might not be able to claim. So those people who are self-employed, who have registered as a self-employed people, of their, UTR numbers, and they have been filing for their tax returns over the past 3 years. As we know, the government brought it back as June somewhere, and therefore people have made a claim. You can also go and claim before the 19th. So hurry up and claim before you lose out. If you're entitled to it, you are entitled to it. Step up and claim. Also, let's look at expulsion from school. Today I was going to speak briefly about benefit, but there is no time, so you're probably going to have a look at that next week. I do apologize those who are expecting it this week. Time is not on our side. It's nearly 2 o'clock. So let me speed up, let me step up so that we can activate the telephone line for about 10-15 minutes and bring the program to an end. Like I said, I've got so much that I need to do, and therefore I need to speed up and so that I can then do what I can then attend to some urgent stuff that I need to do. Expulsion from schools. There are 2 types of expulsion: fixed term exclusion from school and also permanent exclusion. Normally this will happen: a child goes to school, something happens, or the child has finished school, something happens while they are wearing school uniform. Maybe they get themselves into a fight, which is always the case in most cases. And then one becomes the aggressor, the other one maybe gets injured, and then the school will decide to bring an action. Or a child is in school, the child is not paying attention to what is happening, the child is not showing any respect. The school may decide to expel the child. Exclusion policy. What can you do as a parent? It is very, very important that when you receive a report from your child's school, you don't sit there. I think it's important that straight away you go to the school to discover what is happening. Before going to school, make sure that you dress up. Don't just dress anyhow. You need to look sophisticated, because appearance is also very important. Because whether we like it or not, we all judge people. As soon as we see someone, we make either biased decision, conscious or unconscious decision. Our minds. We judge people all the time. That is a fact of life. Psychologists will tell you when we see someone, within the first 6 seconds, we make judgments based on stigma and stereotypes. And therefore, sometimes they are good impressions, sometimes they are bad impressions, sometimes good stereotypes, sometimes bad stereotypes. But one way or the other, we all judge. We all judge. It's a fact. It's something that we do it without even realizing that we are doing it. And therefore, for me, before you go to your child's school for a meeting, regardless, you need to look sharp. You need to look sophisticated, so that people will pay attention to what you have to say. If you look rough, if you look ragged, no one is going to show you respect. And therefore, even something minor, it becomes serious thing, because you'll be judged. And your child is going to be judged according to those standards in which you have been judged, whether good or bad. That is human nature. That is a fact of life. We can all pretend that we don't do it, but we do. Sometimes we do it without even knowing that we are doing it. Ism and citizens, we all do it. So that is a fact of life. So before you go to your child's school, make sure that you are looking smart and sharp before you get out there. When you get out there, don't be timid, and it's important that you are able to be vocal. You need to say your piece. If your child is in the wrong, apologize. Tell the school what you can put in place to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And if at all possible, speak to the other parent. Offer your apologies and how your child is sorry. If your child is in the wrong, it is very, very important that we learn these things, because most of our children are getting expelled from school because we don't know how to say sorry. Most of our children are getting expelled from school because when we get to the school, instead of looking for solutions, we are looking for blame. Sometimes we get to the schools, we want to fight the schools, not acknowledging that our children are doing the wrong things. Sometimes our children are right. Instead of pointing out that our child is right, instead we go and condemn our children in the presence of the headmaster. Sometimes teachers, parents go to the headmaster and say that my son is a bad boy. If you are giving the headmaster this impression, what do you expect the headmaster to do? Our children get detained by the police. We go to the police station. Instead of finding out what has happened, we say that our children are bad children. We stigmatize our own children in the presence of the law enforcers. What do you expect the law enforcer to do to your child? Your child is going to get a criminal record. Your child is going to get a reprimand. Your child is going to get a caution at the age of 10. What do you think is going to have effect? What effect do you think is going to have on your child? We got to think smart. We got to think sharp. Where we need to defend, we need to defend. Where we need to apologize, we need to apologize. But I tell my children, do not be afraid to speak your mind. Under no circumstances should you be timid. Where you need to speak up within our communities, within our cultures. When a child speaks up, we say the child is a bad child. The child does not respect. Because the child is telling the truth that we don't want to hear. I say to my children, do not be afraid of anyone. Show respect to people, but don't be afraid to speak up. If by speaking up means you don't respect, so be it. But at all times, be respectful. There's a difference between being respectful and speaking up. When you need to speak up, but be respectful at all times. So, when we get to the schools, our children are facing expulsion or exclusion. It's important that we work with the school. It's important that we don't let the school bully us. I have seen cases where parents have gone to the schools and they have agreed for their children to be excluded for a term. And yet, they come to me and they are pleading racism. You have gone there to agree on that course of action and you are pleading racism. And I ask, are you racist towards your own child as well? Because you have signed these papers that you have agreed for your child to be expelled for a term from the school. So it is not an action by the school alone, and any action that you want to take, you are not going to succeed. So all that I say is this. If you are facing difficulties, your children are facing difficulties, try and seek legal advice before you attend these meetings. Because if you don't, you're going to end up agreeing to something that you should not have agreed to. And it will be too late for you to come and play the race card. Now people are fed up of hearing the race card. It's because of this, because of that. People don't buy it no more. And therefore, before you take any action, you need to know what you are doing, what you are saying, what you are agreeing to, and its implications for your child and the future. Don't simply go and agree to anything and then come back and complain. It does not work that way. It doesn't work anymore. So all that I say to you is this. Before you agree to anything, think about it. Think about the future. The impression that it will create if you agree to any course of action. If you are not sure, there are lawyers within the communities. There are social workers within the communities. There are professionals within the communities. Speak to one of them first before you agree to anything. Also, one thing that I would say before we activate the telephone lines, there appears to be a new phenomenon that I'm going to be talking about briefly, and then I will then activate the telephone lines, and we take some few phone calls and bring the program to an end. It's about child registration. And it is important that if you are watching me today, if you are listening to this program today, you really must pay attention to what I'm about to say. For the past 2 weeks, I have seen that there's something going on. There is a pattern that cannot be ignored. And it's got to do with birth certificates and also application for replacement of British passport for children. Application for replacement of British passport for children. And over the past 2 weeks, the enquiries that I'm receiving, questions that people are asking, suggest to me that something is not right. Something has gone wrong. Or something is not right. I beg to the non-Twi speakers. I said, I have to switch to a Ghanaian Twi language. I have to speak in Proverbs. And I believe that as we are all proverbials, we will understand. We need to understand this. Some of us are watching us. Some of us are watching us. They may not understand the Twi language. So I'm torn as to speak English or to speak Twi. But let me mix it up so that there's something in for everyone. In this country, the law is this. Once a child is born, within 40 to 42 days, the child birth must be registered. Late registration is acceptable. However, people are having difficulties of late when it comes to replacement of their child's British passport. Some cases have come before me where the children birth were re-registered after 12 months of their birth. The rules are as follows when it comes to registration of children. If a mother is married to the father, then the rule is that automatically their names will go on the birth certificate on registration. However, if the mother and the father are not married, both parties have to be present at the time of the registration of birth. However, where the parties are married, all that the mother needs is the marriage certificate to go to the registration place to register the child. Because the law says that the married couple, if at the time of birth they are still married, there is automatic assumption that they are the parents of the child unless proved otherwise. So now, if you are not married, there is no automatic assumption. So that means both parties have to be present. But in some cases, when the time comes for registration, and in particular, sometimes fathers are not around. And since they are not married to the child's mother, only the mother's name can go on the birth certificate. On the birth certificate, the mother's name only goes there. Along the way, father comes round. The birth had to be re-registered after 12 months later. Now, the passport office is saying, if the birth has been re-registered after 12 months, they will not accept paternity and maternity on the basis of proof of paternity regulation 2006 as amended in 2015. So now, if your child is born and your name as a father does not go on the marriage or on the birth certificate within 12 months, passport office says if you apply for passport for the child on the basis of proof of paternity regulation 2006-2015, they will not automatically assume that your name is on the birth certificate and therefore you are the father of the child. What the passport office for the past 2.5 weeks telling people is that since your child's birth was registered after 12 months, despite the fact that we have previously issued your child with passport, on replacement, we are not prepared to accept the paternity of the child or the maternity of the child. And therefore, you need to prove that those people named on the birth certificate are the mother and the father of the child. Even though previously they have accepted it and issued a visa or a passport to your child. When it comes to replacement, now this is the question that they are asking. And in some cases, they have threatened to cancel some children's passport on the basis that the birth the birth was re-registered after 12 months, and therefore under proof of Paternity Regulation Act 2006, 2015, they will not renew the passport, they will cancel the passport. So a lot of people are facing these challenges, and for the past 2 weeks, that has been the case. I'm getting a lot of phone calls from left, from right, from middle, center, north, east, everywhere. So please, if you have just given birth, don't make those mistakes. From day one, speak to the father, go and register with the father to avoid future challenges and question marks about a paternity of a child. It's troubling and it's difficult. But that's what I would say. Someone will say, so what are the solutions? I don't have solution for you now. Come to my chambers. That's what I can say. I thank you very much for tuning in, for listening to me, for watching me live. It's 1 o'clock. We are going to activate the telephone lines. So if you can, the telephone lines is now going to be activated. The number is 07538 969 589. I'm just about to switch on the phone. The phone was off because people were disturbing me. You can also type your question on the comment section. A lot of people do type, but as people are joining and as people are typing, sometimes you scroll down and you scroll up, and therefore emayentino ye. Obi say wote wo brofo ene wasem ase ye. Anyway, we got our first caller. Hello, you are through to Facebook Live, Justice and Law Solicitors.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yes, Alex speaking from Wolverhampton.
Mr. Overhampton, Lord Mano. Nah, I know pay. Dear bit me.
I know. Yeah, whether was a partner education, I would be mind regarding the student application. And it is very useful. You better son to me an anti-cream. Now my question is with regards to sponsorship, no? They are very difficult. I face the same problem. I remember, sir, me shall come from Koforia to a club at 10 and son of me. Me, I make bank statement that said this just a document from the bank. Afterwards, I'll take it back to him. Me, Abraham, a bray, I mean, you know, I hope say holiday is impossible. Guardianship, and on back what BBF courts, na address, Nipanana. Ayo guardian and I say I don't know what to say. Anna, the second question is regarding to the proficiency in English language,
Yeah.
I quite remember say maybe dear, I went to my department and I'm HOD and specify say I'm board elected to cover me up say as your course is in English, proficiency in English, in the form of a lecture which says a certificate. No. Here, Juma says any panacultural British Council English nibi editor nayin so be as there's that idea.
Aye, almost different levels. It depends on the course, no. Yes.
Okay.
Me no Brama amaniama. Okay, yes, I test na asimbi any honomo.
Any now they are to.
That's right, because they say documents from Ghana is so difficult. Go back and be your face and your papa.
No correct.
So, enti amase say you face a lot of challenges.
No correct.
So, enti no say utimi eye your friend is saying testing na. Won say sa test no. Said you if you omo akrum.
Yes.
Ana ekrum wa English ni ade efri ni krum. Enye kro be ka say.
Yes, undoubted that. No correct.
Undoubted that. Sanity.
It's about your guardianship no. And then the regular TV next court and I say, and also what to say.
A court document.
A court document.
I say A or B is the guardian of C. And no unya sa court order na chere say enipa na ode ade na ma no or your guardian na. Assembly so atwa it leaves no doubt. Now assume idea ajo. Enti ye ne sa na ebeboa. Na amasa problems ni nyina eso atwa. Alternatively, say o maame a na say o papa ne scan dan account ma obetimi ayusu and say if possible e wom say bone adolson ama say no yema yehu krebo papa na enemeka sasem we aya enye nipa nyina na sebio ubuso omade a omo enye ma na de meka ne say uno bi dili a ese nipa ye transparent. For me, I was beginning to lose faith in humanity when it comes to money. Now, make us the same way. And yes, I may come to me home. Me wa client asemo to now you mistake bi. Am I didn't call fee? You didn't call fee, no? Not are you difficult. Me wa Facebook. I no contact me. When you American visa, now I can't go be too ako. Wa try baby I will be enfi no. Now to be honest, when you board bebusa me, I was shocked.
Wow.
But me hwesi na me pese me ginedi because enipa hu.
No correct.
But me yede me dibo no. Na o promise me say ukodura ni first wages. Or dem sika bebre me.
Yes.
Me see this week from Monday. Wa chase me sa obi a ono de me ka no sa chase me so betua me ka na me nyata mo mpo for my account details e ma no obo betua me sika ma me esa de bi kura sa ka ho
na ni aso de wa ya ma no ni ye onya ma no
enti no sometimes no wan hwe yie udo bi hu abufu na ebia wan kwankwa the right thing so enti me potentially do ye no or they save obi because no man can say sika pa so be hu kire na ma say yiwani
no correct
so but what shall me say despite say boni e wo nyina no there are people out there who are genuine who can also help and so be a student we be so be school na say onimobi or family member what there is worth it asking because your community na sometimes the problem you say enipa no mo why na gwen say omo wo da enso wa musa no wo so ko busa na ka me bo ano
no correct no to busa mi azu busa so akwanya no correct
busa so awanye enti bi mom de me busa na wa anye na me hus me busa na wanye
Okay.
enti no sanity enti no yes that's a anti guardianship no sana etie but I'm saying all this to encourage people. I say odie when your opportunity na busa ubusa nipa na wanya ebi so nipa no timi no ntimi nye so wanya so are fine but it's all good because if we are said there you never know tomorrow ana obi nim obrimpo ti yes sir
number fi so mo bia ba nyame adoma ube me ending of this month your application be say we end the quick say the advice and send a hello so not done into nyame adoma me free book appointment ama ya ba bi me da se pa so
yes so yeah that was a pa for your continued support. Bye bye.
No problem.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Mpacho din de sana kasa free.
Within the Joe, my friend, feel Wembley, please.
Hey, Bright Joe from Wembley. I told catch it. Bibi aboko there.
But you be able to I'm on swear.
Nyami adom Jojo.
Any Coco,
the baba.
Coco Chiao.
Any yeah. Yanko Bright Joe Wembley Yanko.
We were situation to be Pacho MC on the 1st of September. Me sending documents through DHL Eco Ghana. Now, Bra me sending no, say from by the 3rd of September no, it be do Ghana. Now documents na it be more very highly classified. In the and say ubia ehun sa this receiver no. Now I go do 3rd no free receiver no say omeji ni the documents. Oko ye no DHL ho no. I'm saying Nigeria for be say be small place am dey receive DHL. Niema no oko ye no say niema ni maaye. But bibia che say ade na ba oko back okwache DHL for no. Enti and I'm so sorry na DHL for answer baaye. And I still omu niema no. Enti be a week time and I'm friend say oh ade na sa na ba na ekodi obi ho. Bana yeah suspicious kakra into call na call no be documents no so na dey ade enti me bra engineer man no Fred DHS so me DHS mo DHS as say Fred almost say say dia e be si o mo almost say ni man no ho nti ya member emra me dey say me dey o nim ni o be me bisa say e be tumi asi wa na because say o mo bi ni man no so ahwe ni ma ewu afen so documents ni bi e time bound say ya lose that contract na dey aka obi say yes sign wo Ghana no how can we sue them and how do we go about it?
DHL for no are very clever because before you send anything by DHL no on say obe sign paper bi so na sa receipt no omo terms and conditions on top of my head you can claim a compensation of up to about £500. It's very, very limited. So and you know you could see Roma when you pay £500 because say send the there is always a risk. I said during transportation, you know. And I said during transit, no. Any money bit me ayera. Tini na ne ka omo terms ho. Enti opa they will invoke those terms to be able to get themselves out of the situation. I would say any money who here you have to go and take the stuff and then you raise a complaint and then they may give you some compensation for the stress and everything that has been caused, because nothing is 100%, especially when you are transporting documentation. As we all know, even in this country, highly confidential information sometimes it get dumped on a plane or on a train, you know. So these things do happens. Whilst it's unfortunate and it causes a bit of apprehension and whatnot, it does happen, it's part of life. So Bright Joe on this occasion, go and collect the documents and then raise a complaint and ask them for a bit of compensation. Maximum that you're gonna get is about £500. In this case, they're probably gonna say that the cost of sending the document is going to be your compensation. I've had my fights with DHL. In fact, one case that I did, the application got refused because they lost someone's marriage certificate, and therefore the person had to present a photocopy, and the application was refused on the basis that the person did not present original marriage certificate. The person had to pay about £3,000 for the home office fees and so on and so forth. But I am glad that the person worked with me. I have to get DHL to confirm, say they have lost the marriage certificate. And then I was able to use that on an appeal. The case did not go to court. Home office backed off and they have granted the person's visa and the person is in this country as we speak. They also offered to pay a compensation of about £80 handsome reward. So they don't pay that much, and I have actually gone through their policy, and unfortunately it's not that much that you will get. So take it on the chin, Brajo.
All right.
Okay.
I will take it. Yeah, thank you very, very much.
No problem. Sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hello, our next caller. Hello, 0275 is your turn.
Thank you very, very much, sir.
Me patroji say utie free o phone this why utie free radio this why nya adwuma. There's a delay in transmission.
Hello, 0275 is your turn. Patroji say utie free phone this why utie.
Everybody across them say onyange ready.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Patrick Yankasa.
Yeah, me did the Kwajo Francis Patrick.
Kwajo Francis.
Yeah.
Edin the ring a bell. Kwajo Francis Yanko.
Yeah, we decided say yeah application that hold that no. Na I delay kakra so nsem bi wo ho a bit mati approve ana.
Oh, me da see pi so busa sa question we. And me say a lot is happening, a lot has gone on.
Yeah.
A lot is going on. So application them now there has been a bit of delay. Make us in because home office now I can sympathize with them. Since March, until June, July, and there is a massive backlog, and they are doing everything that they can to work through. And now, Metro Bia say, so application the home officer, Nyantuasia Kakramomo. A year they will catch up, and now a matter of time. And here in a Nyantuasia Emma, near the air, Sebu Ebeba, now Anna a matter of time, Kakra. Why? I know, as a man for your wild. Now, I say, the situation be say. Home office for no, they have limited resources that they can use to make decisions, and they have to go through a process, and the process sometimes a delay in kakra because obia the application bar, for example, yebusa, do you have a criminal record? Oka say no. I was a check police national computer, any CRB database. I check if say I'm paso unibia na so ubia. Also there's a delay. So more ayana sometimes it causes a bit of delay kakra. But the make me can say for the past 2-3 weeks in here, justice and law there, you say there has been a bit of improvement.
Okay.
And Crofoniama, there is a bit of improvement. Emma, Udinya boy, you cry, will be the said in this week, there has been a bit of improvement. Sonia Conte Yanka, or Betty Yanka. Until now, there is always improvement. You could see it's a decision process, or my chassis a speedy up again. And with time, it will get back to a bit of normality. Until now, the message say, or come on, Fubi, Naso Catcher said there's a delay, and you no chow. Sana etie. yen na ya frustrated and the man can be boa sebio eba ntema anam so nya me balance e de hwe me how far enti ema ye no misim sika akɔhye mo enya sanam so me pe no enti say ma ye wada lo ye say ye wada kra sen mo sa de teminia enti no eye de eba na osumajo na lo ya ne so osumajo mo say American some cases I had to get MPs involved because it's been like 1 year still no more drag on feet. So mommy be was Scotland on the obedi dance neighbor case a year 1 year 2 months and so we make a decision. Oko chase ya almost in the queue. The case is complex. We are looking into it. We is past senior case worker. Just in some Dawson. It's after Drew baby, you know. Now afro me. I said, look, this is ridiculous. I'm running it within 6 months. You have to make a decision. Why make it yate asiye? Akosa akopim 1 year. A day be beam. And you go share MP no. MP say no, you are being more than reasonable. And to me obia, say no be deal. I try to be more than reasonable. Said I said you obi mpo aseb you na dwene chemu mpo. Eti masema. Obeka say debi, we di be. And to assemble sometimes no, udi bimo and so who can ubedi for.
And no
sana etie ana brebre ema abato. Sana etie.
Okay.
Yes, I bro di obedidi. Oni sin enti na odi ne hu. Enti no, sana ye be no. Toto ena etoso so de eye mrew aduane. Enti no, enya de obe so obebre. Enti eye de a obedru. Yese kwan no e wase de ewie wo abobo ano. Na ebe ye nshira ama so. Question ebusa ye, enyo nkwan do ebusa ama ho. Ye nanu bebrebe are in the same situation.
Yeah.
Enti no, I'm very happy say ebusa sa question nyame nshira ho.
Me me da se bebre nyame nshira.
Yeah, that was it. Bye for now.
Bye.
Mo amu free na mo nkoso emfre number ni ye 075389695989. Ofra you betimi afa one call at a time because ye program no e free fie enti na ye sremu pi mo mfa nchei say ye ntimi mfa too many phone calls. Enti mo na mo free nyina no you can also call. This is your time to call. The number is 07538969589. My name is David Darko, Justice and Law Solicitors, live on the Bremo Facebook no. Yen you be so afraid yen fano 3609 yenko.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon to you.
Patron, I want to say.
Yami adom ye pim so.
Ye pim so. Na lawyer, yami nimene. Se me until program ya na me hu titimi o. Ma ntia se de bibia yira me ni sika kura we biase. Na se de usi kano. When you say my application no I check, but as se me here de me nya abotere.
That's right.
Because me nya abotere na man fan twen a na ye say pressure.
Yeah.
And na wo ka say ye tua wo ka na wo so wanya usika ayere editi.
That's right.
Na me de bebre say wo ka enkwala asem okrum ha normal bia koso a ha adwene ya fa ye na nsi ho ne ansopporto ye mana sa no mo nso abemu ayere egu.
That's right.
Enti no ye beda wase bebre nyame nhira wo bebre na wo tai no so na me fe pa.
Madam say I'm also comfortable ba.
Ai ti nyame nhira wo bebre wo beti ye nka bi.
It RCP. Bye bye. Hello, 6961.
Hello, lawyer. Pacho, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Now, Pacho, didn't send like a free.
Pacho, Zulu ni. And then they want me target.
Zulu, young guy, Mr. Zulu.
Yeah. Right. In the first place, that's in it. You power here. Maybe a short one. Mebusa said we are customary marriage. Na say aware no egu. Na ukoye divorce. Me nipa bi dia papers aba no ebeye trolley ma. Enti sa papers ni nyina ba foreign affairs photocopies of oma mugina mu ma ne ne keka ho no. Ebeduru ha. Eden adin no beye amana dimu. Aha so bibi eso ye ananse no ano.
What I would say is with the Ghanaian customary divorce no, technically it is not recognized in the UK. So one have to be very, very careful. And I'm saying this on the basis of Section 46(2) of the Family Law Act of 1986. We can all go and Google it and read it. We call it the recognition of foreign divorces. And what they say is this: they will recognize foreign divorce if it was obtained through court proceedings. But when it comes to customary divorce, it is not obtained through court proceedings. It is obtained through informal proceedings, just as it is with customary marriage. And I always advise people, say, look, and no airflow, name mum, some person just say divorce, so Eddie Wario Krumwadama. Oko registry wa, Ombeka also omunyintu. Omon can say unye divorce, but they will simply say, Omo dear Omo enyintu. And from personally, advise people say it's advisable to do the divorce in this country, two court proceedings. Say yeah, unya, difficulties be because you can have some difficulties. And wow, sir, Ghana law there is a valid divorce, no. A Kromwa, they will not argue say any valid divorce, but they will not recognize it. And Tebaso Baby used Hanama, you may have problems. And that's why I say why a divorce under customary law, no. In order to avoid future problems, no, I will advise you, encourage you, say unyeska, say divorce Kromwa, proper court divorce to avoid future problems. Because Section 46(2), I say, before say ombeji foreign divorces atum wokromwana, especially if it was not done through court proceedings, you need to demonstrate, say, the parties were living in Ghana 12 months before the divorce. Once we provide some residential requirements in Ghana, they will not recognize it. One of the parties must be a Ghanaian national. If you don't make me take boxes, no. It is where it states to say you must be living in Ghana 12 months before the divorce pronunciation, pronouncement, you will not be able to get that. And therefore, when you go to the registry to marry in this country, sometimes they will say no problem. They will send it to General Register Office to get a clearance. The day before marriage, they will tell you, say, you cannot marry because they don't recognize it. It has happened to a lot of people. Ama obikra ba me ho sa same way me de ye example a kire yenu ano. Enipa ne ba ye no. Oye Ghana divorce, customary divorce. Oba no ka say menua under Section 46(2) a problem. Enti no men koye application no. Ye proper divorce in this country and say no koye application no. Me kan no anye ne de wantie. Or the call baby fufro. Emma obi ye man. As someone may kind and no need refuse to application. At that point, what catch and for some na application. Mete one will be by me so attack. I said, I didn't yellow, I may who's had and I'm saying, a jamis rope. And you mean I'm application. And the attitude got about my office, get out from my office. Because the person came with an attitude, and I have to show the person an attitude. And that attitude was an Ashtown attitude. And that is how it is. And it's very, very important. I say, you better say, Section 46(2). So why a customary divorce, unyeska, say kromo divorce, for avoidance of doubt, because a kromo ukita customary divorce. Now say what they call application will be say omre kromo, and I say what they waru kromo, you are going to encounter problems. That one we need to be aware of this, and we have to take it very, very serious.
Now say every court because Ghana ever go through court proceedings and send out and yes meaning say what we are explaining is different from data.
Okay, Ghana no, I have a good question there because a chinko for arguing so. Say obi a customary divorce, customary marriage, and the Ghana law no, it will not go through court proceedings. Oh, okay. Say at the intia, if you divorce now, enipa ne kitano. You are also in the High Court of Justice in the Nkeka home. And not just say a court proceedings. A Ghana system, no. Oh, yeah, affidavit. That is how it is drafted. And to be shakrana, what they call notary public. Non notary public as science here. and say na odi akọ court ama court na astampo so kwa enye judge ebi ososo a odi koma judge ese onye de onye pronunciation ma na eno no ekọ court ya tro so dissolution of customary marriage eno ya tro so certificate of dissolution of customary marriage eno no judge no enye judge de na etie asem no judge no is only looking at the affidavit yedi aba nanim ese customary no aware negu enti judge emfa ne sansha se say de aware negu na emom say if it is going through court proceedings it is done under something called Matrimonial Causes Act under Ghana law enti eno no se ema divorce na ema divorce certificate na they will make reference to cap 127 marriage and as a ordinance marriage and non na Ghana it will go through proper official court proceedings in order to get a proper divorce certificate which is recognized under Ghana Marriage and Divorce Act of 1965. Entino say unya customary divorce nimpo na se judge in sasha asia it does not go through the legal formalities which is recognized in the UK. Enti enonese ye careful. Enti won say bia a customary marriage. Judge in Sasha say divorce abem. But judge no obe make you reference to affidavit ebusianfo na swe. I don't know gina so EDS pronouncement but where it go through proper proceedings you petition the court, you do it by way of petition. Enti Ghana laws so petition under Matrimonial Causes Act section 47. And then I say you petition the court by way of petition. And then it will go through proceedings where the parties will be invited to come to court, or it will be done in S party where the other party may not be around, but under Order 65 of Ghana Civil Law, Ghana Civil Order Act, it shows to say if you are not present to Krana, your lawyer can stand in for you. And there will be court hearing basically. Now court hearing, you don't need to physically go there, and it can be done as S party or your lawyer will go and stand in for you. And say, customary marriage in Ghana. Ghana law does not permit that to be done or the divorce to be done under Ghana civil law. And I want to say, careful. I know say it can be a bit complex. Because of Ghana, we have something called pluralistic laws. Your law is coming from everywhere. And therefore, I can understand. But say customary marriage, it can never be done through Matrimonial Causes Act when it comes to divorce. And in Ghana, we are customary marriage, we divorce. Said you see a marriage, sa kwana de fa so ye divorce no abusuafo obane de bemansa eba koma no esa aware no omu ntimi biem na abusuafo a omo ewo honoma sa atinisi ye no omo ya affidavit say aware no agu because of ABCD nti aware no agu na abusuafo so agya tum say aware no agu enti amamre mu de once that happens aware no agu opa register, opa men register, nobody cares. But adansi DNT na e was call AMA and I say KMA. E come one notice say sa aware na omo register ye no egu. Enti egu wi a upa ubetimi sa de akọ court akwakoji pronouncement from the court e say aware na egu. Enti court de no e pronouncement of aware abusuafo say egu no. But say o ye proper divorce eno de odiko gina judge anim. Now watch him under Matrimonial Causes Act. I said the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. The marriage has broken down irretrievably. And then you choose one of the reasons why it's egu without chance of coming back together. Adultery, behavior, desertion, separation of consent, 5 years separation. And you rely on one of those under Ghana Matrimonial Causes Act to get proper divorce. Entino say aware amoware no say civil marriage a court marriage be ma no be gina ho ana o ware ani amomo marriage certificate na is a card no green and white and I say blue and white din ni bia ɛno nko ana wobetumi aye court proceedings ɛde ayɛ ɛde egu aware no na oyɛ even say customary marriage it can only be dissolved and if any dissolution you dissolve that marriage through informal means, which is either by way of an affidavit, by way of going to the local council to get the notice of entry of divorce, or you get a court to pronounce that divorce for you. But it is not done through proper way as it is in the Western eyes. And I can say you're very careful because about koje enubi a divorce certificate and the Ghana law yejitum. A chroma for en cancer so we divorce. Now, Rebecca Chone say ye yintum. A be ridiculous. I didn't see a Ghana law de yejatum, no chroma for the Muslim yintum. A chroma law ne say under section 46.2, Family Law Act of 1986. Osha section 46.2A. Now I should be. Udo difference in a woman. You know, section 46A and B. Because B, you know, and then they cover certain divorces. And in Muslim countries, some we their divorces. Fair be say kalabu say dear you. Nina with different types. And a home office so information be or be a next week me de link you know. Eba bebo your friend say me show na usunya to us in every day. It will give you a better understanding of what I'm saying. Enti ese ye careful. Ebia another beko home office for be jasim be anywhere. Why dwini mu no beka say oh na say me de ko home office o ma giatu. It be okay. You better to more. Every case worker no one section 46.2. No the amount. After we share or do for partner de babe ware no. Ubedu marriage register. Yes, master. Why divorce cry there? We will not recognize it. So same way, a BS in 2012. Papa Asia oba or dono. Na aka one day a mobani visa. Sa dano national normal or mobile worry. Omo ko ye momu day to. Ada omodu some baba ware no nya catch omo say omo divorce certificate no it is not recognized. I no see that day adena man kan kire me because omo call come notice no enipa oto ano receptionist no onim ho hwe ento de do de buy no eno na ogie ana de call ye friend is saying general register office enti e ho na last minute omo ka kire me say under section 46.2 eni say you recognize this divorce certificate enipa ne visa e de no be me to office e twen omo so omo kwa kware omo ware wie ya na nko omo ba na kam the application na ko me to na on frame me say lawyer omo say ye divorce no omo nyintu da omo anka ho asem an kire last minute and e di wo nani enti no I will say to you say why you no kra na pesusu to wono mo da chi asem nti ti na say ye dokoto kodu a ye jam ho wo ye no to a e bia da chi ngwe shi odofo bi wa ha wo de kwa kware no What do we call here? Say, yeah, or some more money in your money. Now, some this way, because say, not because home office, someone can show a book cry the car no magic. What do you call be a who here on panel? Never near Babette. And then, and unfortunately, the law is there, section 46.2. And in media, when you who say one idiot, send me advice, I will advise you to do it. So, what you do it? Said they are dashing, you know, as some poba. Oh, who answer that. And you know, I hope say kakra meka you know it will help you in some way.
But try you be shim but e do so do sessions no yes you be ko adwudwum ahwe enyan to media be me sense you ask my body ahwe na ego.
That's right. Why? That's it. Okay, bye. Patrona amanfo bebre so fragment me amfa one phone call one phone and dey here adwuma no you can only take one line at a time se wutia usu betimi afre ya wo be 15 minutes na ye fa dwumadie no emra na wieye wo questioner also wo be dey ubetimi afre yes you go so twem mo call monfre amanfo bebre free unfortunately na sergeant agent for na continue mentimi anya dey mentimi amfa those phone calls enti also obetimi afre yego so ye twem mo calls yego so twem monfre na yentimi anya dey yentimi emoam mi musanko for be free ye hwe si betimi afre bi baka okay ye hwe ade menya ayibi I hope say good news I say more Okay, that's fine. I will call back. Okay, that's fine. I hope it's good. I hope it's a good news. Gonna make my day. All right, more for me, bra free pa. And you know, one more friend in an so air tremble call. Most meeting me as a idea afraid being. Okay. Hello.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let us say.
Because that's sorry here that the program is anyway.
I know another Kenny now. How can you know winty?
That's it. No problem back when I'm person which is so good to me answer.
And no trio, who problem now you want pay.
I want pay.
And you're seeing me away. Pacho beti akasa.
Okay. Tell me person with this I say. Okay. Many obi ne wo hono na oba no ene ne ba no bo ne papa ni bi hobio but see an me na me wo akola ne line enti pese me hwe se pese me bisa se metuma gina akola no so ade aye enyoma na ati enyeyi because see ono ni papa ni ni hobio na since then me na me akola ne o do ye nyina ye ntimo but me na me wo one akola ne life mo sisia
auntie oye abeku papa Okay. Yes, ubetimi ejina so ede aye application. Now, ayana the most important thing is you have to demonstrate say you have parental relationship with the child. The child doesn't have to be your biological child. As long as say you are a father to a child. One say ye na na ka say father if you say obi a o donate sperm no ono na ye father debi na mom say you show abiding interest in the child's welfare, education, religion and health and general welfare. And with me demonstrate say you are father to the child. Justice and law there, we are able and we are willing. We will be able to help you.
And this is here, as a sense, yes, I will be able to be a casa name to me, quitting more. The any says, me book appointment, I be doing who let us say, the Wohono, and she say, oh, what the man is, I'm assuming Buffy, and I'm bearing home, but I'm back yet, you started free one.
Exactly. Because Juma Yedi, Sebio, and you'll be a Otibiana, a payasim. Anna, and you'll be a Otibiana, or the Akuma Papa, a BT. And Sembi or said it was okay, you know. Wano efi wano osham ensembu aye nka de bedwam ukọ na akohu enipa no Nicodemusly ene na enhihye bi ewo bia no ono so etimi aye de akyerew because sometimes bit me gina phone so na opeso o ka bibia wo phone so but one thing that amanfo ya aware ne say semate GCHQ for kan MI5 and MI6 telephone calls are ekwa nyinara electronic communication biara me adwene nye wo se wonko na wutie so se ohimane phone kra no yetimi ekotapu tie de ensema wo ka na wo anase me sana etie enti komo bi wo ha ye ni bedwam kra eno ye sister bi be hu me no ka se ma manage or frame me phone so and I'm say oh ubetimi atiasem no kakra kire me o say lawyer wallahi no person be gina wani na de obia no me nya bema wetimi aka kire me because enye nsem nyina da betimi aka na phone so ana sebio asema wunu abeka kire no abontinsu ni enka kire wo ana penifo say efie pete say odi unam kra ebika so ho enti no akwanya bi ho no ma bia baby a wo fa no ese metia wo na so baby wo no ma ese metwe waso baby ese metwe akoto no hu se wo ko wrong na ubegina phone so dia you can be whoever you want to be enti me so na ese protect me ho anything in law you be confidential information and confidentiality so ho enti ye be sre p se wutie na ensembi na wo kan ka se bra officer enye se ye posika age enu nti na se bra office Yes, over there, but you see.
No, and then I did it's a bit more on now. They just couldn't commit you. But what person did not tell for you? No, do bisa. Yes, I know how loyal. And the loyal or protection, but or cast and or can have a boom couple and still and depend on chassis. The fight is a well fellow. And the person with Jamus, yes, I catch and say, look, send it behind the crop on your friend and my one information every day. It is far better. Say, the Bako dinner baby for 5 years in a year. Nanny behind the quiet or Cassie, when you know, black office colors or the 10 pound. That single information, I escape. But here's the case, and they panic now, or any free. What has all been winning? Never we have to know, okay, baby, I assembly through Brefia, was you know, Timua. That be
I ask him, but I'm hoping it's a true education, you know. People will see the light, and the way we do things, we will be able to change it. I thank you very much for your understanding. Oba a bit Nancy. Now you go through process. Because question I can tell you, say, Yajibiam will be grandmother. She's got a parental relationship with the grandchildren. On that basis, inti Enukitan and Krata. So, the key is having a parental relationship.
Okay.
And to buy a better Nancy. Now you're
But only Saturday, so just a Monday to Friday.
Because of say Corona Nintino, I'm not building for no every Saturday. Or maybe it's be the deep clean. Just say every corner baby. Because argument in say Oma yes idea no. Now say Corona ni be you be building ni ma. You be close to building no. And also and you know they are trying to mitigate potential loss. And intina amana basano. But in an extreme cases, no, I am also working around whereby in some cases, no, I'm able to adjust whereby even hours bikrana any office hours, no, I'm able to meet certain people and do it for them. So because we are not living under normal times, and therefore we all have to adjust.
That is very true.
So that is what we are also doing as well, because I'm aware of people's work commitment and timetable, and being a parent, having children, and some people the day that they have is only Saturdays. And yes, about Saturdays, I beg a problem about. But in the circumstances, we are able to work around their circumstances, in which we can also find a common ground to help them. And see, if you are within this category, I remember how what you're free. Now you work it together, because our job is to help you, and your job is also help us.
That is very true.
Oh boy, I need to see me aboard. Now you know.
So now she can also the Kakana show how far. Many okay, lawyer, but me free to know be so good so I.
Okay, that's it. Bye. Your best 7 minutes. So, Opesa Ofra, Usubetimi Afre, number Dijumano, 07538 969 Usubetimi Afre, send a Dijumano, Abanewie. So, Opesa Ofra, this is the time to call. And see a channel call, your Bese for 102 and send a Dijumedino, idea about Newie. And I'm not for very free, unfortunately, need a phone, so now into me and take them. And men try to free be back, so meet me answer. Come to me answer, they are great. Because I'm free, so meet me idea after by all means, Sana etie. And yes, and education the Bremono, courtesy of Justice and Law Solicitors. Obi biara otimi de to ha ye damase. Okay, nipa no entimi ansa obi afara yemfa nipa no. Edion. Okay, hello. Okay. Hello, Patrodi ni sana kasa free.
Yo, yes, yo mami.
Hey, mami se twi kasa. Babelande.
Ya samo ma feel this to come.
Yes.
Oh, fire fe blanket. O fire kwabu say. E de me de na ma ni aseda. the Oyama and his sododo. If you now watch it by me and in my past, I'm no Becassa or Nana non commodity because meaning say, it be a what in a why and come there.
Ah, Menina Casa, why? Ya saw too.
Yamisha, as they say, our Black History Month. And Tino, and a PM, a message, a Boris. As someone they buy 5 Black History Month, the mania, papa. Say, yet one more a court to a cow move. Now, so before be womb, be seen now, so did mapa.
That's right.
May deep Black History Month 31st of October with the dedicated program now, Okahubi.
Aish.
The Ananka, Mobile Mena, Mayor for Secretary, Beboa Mena, my entertainment, and they are Kuzumuso. And so said he be a Mokam movie, Yamin Shroud. Nami Dinasakwa, we so Emma Mambed so happy birthday, Ochna.
Hey,
I am birthday, Baby actually. Computer lady, fire life computer lady, Bacope. Until mankind, Namompanan. Now, we are the neon crop for semi baby saying in a kama.
That's right.
And summer a dower Makuma Swankasa. Now, also we had the Anya Horn will be no, Micha Amy, why? Yamishrao.
Oh, Tia and Tia
Casa, Yamishrao.
Medawasipi. Ye mamina ye tene kano mami suyachi kasa atia donko yes ye tene kano aya ye nyaho ye tie bi pa
ko ya chi black cement ye kaya na nanom nya ye wo ha da de ba ko a me black cement me di dia PM Yura Boris wa be kanya me nene say da bia masma me kan say you can't as a country, you can't collabone, you can't if you are a bonnet. Now, one more so ye papa, no collapano, ye on day. The moment you share a nipa, ye do my panel, no more so, ye more my basso. Papa.
Yes, ye damase pa. Any paye beer or say aye.
What are ye? Nipa be so yadu.
Yes,
Muslim
Yama from Woodier. Sasna computer lady, or no, so you're not from Woodier. Yes, invisible woman, that's the question. Mommy invisible. Wait, happy birthday, pa.
What's my side you DJ Mahama Fidiso?
And any actually temu chuku.
Papa.
Oh, nice one. For your continuous support. Bye. Emma many attending cano. Edana sepa. Say minimum computer lady, mammy bedu. Emma say you'll be who ni birthday na way yaba. Hey, invisible woman, you know. Now on when the birthday to me piaba out. This is serious. Where the some person will fra, if I show P, and what's our friend number we so 07538 969 589. Say, oh, friend number back on so to me fire, be cut the off. Ain't you know, I mean, she say, meet me and your number not afraid of backer. Okay, I'm say, papa, so person of friend, also friend when you anyway, yeah, fano. Any, Echina Quaquaya, Mammy Bedu, birthday, idiot. Nature says it me bought happy birthday song, Emmanuel. Hello, you are live on Facebook. Me patrol the same like I say free.
Da me patrol your friend Simon.
Simon, okay. Me patrol Danny, they are no ding. It's from David why? From David why?
Okay, David.
Aha, Danny, they are no ding. Me am crashing me. Okay, now I didn't bet you am Simon.
Me patrol when radio station we program so na me frɛ we
I say me program live until you are on air obi ato nkan wiase afa na nyina
ade so nka me no be kan me pese be ko o
ani ma me frɛ wachire why
patron mate
I Simon me boa
patron
ma me nchro nto won na me wura nkofi why tenya big deal me frɛ back why patron enti hwemanim around 4 o'clock won why patron mate me da CP Simon Anyway, Yadamasipi, ese ene motimi adjoining us. Na computer woman. Birthday. It's in actually say a chase a birthday song amount. I don't even know what to say. We thank you for your support. So many ways that you've been very, very helpful to Fire Life Radio and to people at Fire Life Radio. For that, we thank you. It's your birthday. And you know, where the I see it me Jenny.
It's my birthday, I must spend my money. It's my birthday, I must spend my money. It's my birthday, I'ma live my fantasy. It's my birthday, I'ma live my fantasy. I'ma turn up, we can turn up, we can.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Laura. I'm if I came from where?
Nyame Adam Boko na so so Nampacho say etiefo beto nkenti kabo di nkire ye ya.
Yeah, now if I told we need to be sufficient our fire do boako.
Okay. Hey, it did all putting in one for you crazy. Okay, now, Mammy Cynthia, and none of it didn't even me. I am all.
You know, I have to say, the question about a man, no, I can Emma, we are no. It's a member office, but I'm a fracture. I was near Boabaso. Then I mean, shop and we do a power. And I'm the sort of woman
No. Yeah, that was CP. Inshallah, now for your continual support, especially, I mean, people at Portsmouth. You've been very, very supportive. Everything that we have been doing for the past 10 years. And I don't know what to say, but to thank you all, especially your pastor and all people at Baptist Church, Glory Baptist Church. Nyame Inshallah. I don't know what to say. Nyankopon so afire so are wonders in your church. Sana ewiase no e was say yekono. So I mean, one thing that I like about your pastor, his humility and his humbleness. I know, dear, I will never forget. It's when you're so for Papa and Timunsonimu, no Sunsumu.
Yes. For that you are doing for us. You will be how I do
for your continued support. Okay, bye. Obi so friend episode time nimpo atwam yemfa last caller yemfa ka actually na yemfa dwumadi no emra na wie enti na wa na wo fra na agina so no oso obetimi ayede oso obetimi afre enti no ye twen wo call ye take last call episode na mama boat person ofre na ofra na ayi lie bi enti no mama boat obetimi afre number so 07538 969-589 ubetimi afre ababe sisa number neso mini o number ewo this number dey take phone calls no kenya sa can be free back. I'm struggling to call you back. Yenhwe se menya number na wa ha try nhwe na anya adwuma a bit tricky enya sadia gise ye ne next week enya sadia ubetimi a ka be free number we so 078 969-589. Computer lady, you say your birthday, 11th of October. Na che say enye dakitwa. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Wabelandi. Mami board from reading.
Oh, lawyer, my brother and son and me query.
Oh, very sorry, pa. Na say you say. I say an invisible woman. You say she's becoming visible, kakra.
Invisible.
Invisible man. You say your birthday.
And I think they are almost 10, 2020.
Who's that?
Oh.
Over the day.
Yeah, then I'm happy. Yeah, my happy birthday. You're not by the caffeine, you're computer woman back.
That's right.
Yeah, my almost any or more, my friend, or more. Nah. You mean I bet maybe friend, you say, oh, dear, Mimi, can you be a
Zulu, yes.
A Zulu can hear you in UK.
Minya shows one.
Okay.
Zulu area or a soldier man, Angasa.
Okay. And you say Zulu is Zulu, the idea, or you could decide him in and the lawyer, yeah, friend, about to pay my money, my energy, and I'm in an engine, and it's your say, or she will be pa.
Oh, Nana show.
Oh, about to listen to my pa, oh, yeah, and yellow one, I would just say, I'm saying, the piano, and I'm a lawyer one. Just say, Nina, for me to go, who saw our child, Ubenya Gary, Ubenya Talia, Ubenya Sito, Ubenya Case, Ubenya Bia, for me to go.
Paying now.
Just a Bia. Oh, and Tinamisra, Pioneer to my power, Yenin, Setra, a ya now bet letting. Oba, and your long one, I'll bet letting, would you be a sitting in one bravo, any our real moon, some Eddie Chroma, Nipa, a choir now go to the Ebekum Crofonia. Good afternoon. Yet so broke once.
Nanakasa.
Oh, it's the lawyer, I'm letting me, a do me that day, yeah. But who you say, I'm more near the next day, who you are, a baby, not any pair, a bear 2 point something near there. So, Ubia need you program, or more would be my any fine, you share Ubia in your pity. A quiet pa, a quiet away at the same way you can handle. Ain't you know, your boa basso, and okay, not your pastor, and so my mamma, if you happy birthday, a dining and the walk, ready to show for baby, I wish you know.
Yeah.
The Dana see between those, the Bian young after my no, so be candid or the better so at the boy met in a far like radio, cooling in a more and penny for you now. The lawyer waited with you behind, you are classic penny for near paying for cuckoo dam. And meeting in here, if when you are not, we do remember that day, yeah, I grow it.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oje Moses. Yeah, that must be. Sanity. What time a cheap pussy?
I not me,
that's right.
I need my power, not to open edema. UK here Ghanaian community near the Tricas and near the say, and your my Kuipa. Hello, I'm in power.
Sure.
Only said, Mr. or Mujus Black Yam Towing. And I shall be better here, addressing Kakana. Will be fair, me no say, and none of me will video be out the better honor. I may catch of said you obey the say, ya. Now, bro, no more the Bible base, and I am here to you. Who be kind, you would yet cut up a cow, no matter what. In Tia Munches, Kakra Cochi, nay, and the NTI, the Ethiopia, me to. And in a mammy, a Juma, or quite a boy, you know, a do baby, and a baby, you couldn't got an African Kaka. Lawyer, I do remember that there will be at nothing.
say you call Pakistan for near the other for no holiday. You go for ho you take your move this long near the I said I'm back with my
yeah.
So you buy a young cat you say yeah next you say ye di baby ya so no boa fit let's say you memu tse ma wo ti ase oh nyo ma bia wuni ti me na da bia me ante obi a opese o ye ni bibia bia o de enye ready so call lawyer office when you book appointment ne ko any international one on one no just the woni o men na one kasa wo be mu se wo be ya ade ni be wie 100% say e be ye o de ne pipe on to be church o de njide be church na do the church ni e koye no enti lawyer ye bo about you that was near my pa o ye why
Mr. Meda Masepa, and for your continued support, mode edita yechi, humu, sikemu, anhodim, bibiemu, yadamase, nyakupon, enshamo. Na computer lady, and you me, ese a yawodia, a your birthday, echi. Yes, yadijmani eba newie, yadamasipi, next week, ebesai, eshie bien. Mo share program no. Na ye nianum a adwumanti o mantimi entie no omo entimi entie na ene amafo bebre atuni in me pese me take this opportunity eda omo nyina ase me amini Jeremy Opoku me te won kanche me hu wani be 5 years ni ana wa report to base why ana ohwehwe wuni akakra boss lady Rosemary Edia yeah, that was it for your continued support and for sharing the program. Tina Osei, thank you for joining us. Nana Ajaman, thank you for joining us. Tili Duma, thank you for joining us. Dorcas Adum, thank you for joining us. Gina Edisei, thank you for joining us. Alexander Ofosu, thank you for joining us. Efia Educhumwa, thank you for joining us. Papayao Ejay, also thank you for joining us. Achilles Baraza, thank you for joining us. Cynthia Ofer Ado Buaku, thank you for joining us. Nana Efia Ajewa Bright Asari, good morning to you. Mami Georgina Amacheneboa, thank you for tuning in. Frederick, thank you for joining us. Jonathan Benny, thank you for tuning in. Ajwa Odomensa, thank you for joining us and for tuning in and for your contribution. Doris Opoku, thank you for joining us. Gloria, also thank you for joining us. It goes on and on and on and on. Next week, Christiana Manson, also thank you for joining us. Asantua Efia Ajekum Obin, also thank you for joining us. Ernestina Okanta, thank you for joining us. Kwaku Idam Bansa, also thank you for joining us. Joyce Budabis, thank you for joining us. Rita Abebio, also thank you for joining us. Nana Afram, Nana Bako Pet, thank you for joining us. Buasiako Entry, thank you for joining us. Nateki Clotefio, also thank you for joining us. All those people, all the names that I couldn't see, the names that I couldn't mention, I will say to you, may the Lord Almighty God bless you and thank you for joining us. Until we meet again next week, you take care of yourself and next week we will be back. Eagle's Eye, keep watching us, keep looking out for us, and keep praying for us. Blessing be upon you. Dobnado. See you next week. Bye for now. Ti yede nyumui eja mokwan nyame enhyira mu nyina na onye de onye mokese. This song is called Africa Unite. Yes, once again, thank you for joining us. Next week, we will bring you a bit more update about immigration and nationality law and also employment law. We will cover some sections about family law, so that we all know what is happening in this country, especially in relation to immigration, family, and employment law. For all areas of immigration and nationality law, you can always get in touch with justice and law solicitors. We are able and we are also willing, and we believe that through operation of the law, we can get you justice. Get in touch with us. Our number is 0207-993-5976, or you can also call us on the mobile, which is 07539 969 589. Sorry, the number is 07538 969 589. Join us next week exactly 11 on Facebook. God bless. Peace. Bye-bye.